Welcome to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Main, awesome wife and dog mom for life. I'm a sex therapist turned sex coach, and I run a successful business selling relationship enhancement products. I absolutely love talking about all things sex. So you can expect this podcast to explore all things related to women's sexual health because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you discover and embrace what brings you pleasure so that you can own your sexual self. If that sounds good to you, then keep listening and let's fucking do this. Hi, Kelsey. Thank you so much for coming on to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast today. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I'm just so thrilled that our paths have collided. I think people will see the title of this podcast and be like, wait, what does this have to do with sex? But I think it's more, mushrooms are more of like that personal development journey. And we might in this episode talk about some mushroom sex. I don't know, that could come up. But yeah, we'll definitely see. But yeah, thanks again. As I said, like the way our paths collided, there was multiple people that were telling me about the things that you were offering, like sound bowl healing and the art things that you do with psychedelics, and then coming to your women's circle just a few months ago. Like that was such a magical experience. So thank you for being in the mushroom world and providing this service and products to people. I just think it's truly amazing.
Thank you. Yes, I've really, the path I've gotten to get here, if you had asked me 10 years ago, it would have been such a surprise, but I guess everything I've done has just kind of landed me here, and there was no other way. So I'm really honored to be able to give voice to this medicine and advocate for it. And my mission is accessibility and education. So anything I can do in service to the mission, I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need more people, I think, in the world that do this. And it's funny that you say, like you said, if you look back, you would have never imagined this. I relate so much to that and into the work that I do. But it's as if we just continue listening to the universe and continue getting the signs and picking up on the downloads that's coming in and reacting, right? And taking action towards those things. It's like we just land up exactly where we're supposed to be in the world, which again, for you in this plant medicine, I'm really excited. So can you tell us a little bit about how you first discovered the world of psychedelics or psilocybin? Yeah, like just share with us your journey, your start.
Well, I guess where to start? I think, cannabis has forever been touted as the gateway drug, right? And for me, it was in waves. I was a gymnast for a long time and had a lot of injuries as a result of my practice. And as a teenager, I was on all different kinds of pharmaceuticals to manage my injuries and symptoms. And it was after I started getting into yoga and searching for a more holistic way to manage my pain, and that I was introduced to cannabis. And along that journey, I guess I don't do anything halfway, and I started learning how to grow my own cannabis, and it was really important for me to do it really naturally and to really honor that it is a plant. One that comes from the earth and in a world of chemicals and fields and all of these things, it was important for me to do it in a natural way. So I started growing cannabis using natural and living soil. So I started learning everything I could about healthy soil and mycelial networks and fungal networks, and started accidentally growing mushrooms in my apartment. And from that, I just got kind of obsessed and went down the mushroom rabbit hole and started growing all different kinds of mushrooms, edible and medicinal and psilocybin. And that was really where I was in grad school at this point and started turning my lens of public health on psychedelics as medicine, as treatment. And I ended up writing my thesis on using psychedelics as a treatment for addiction, and depression, anxiety, depression, and trauma. And I conducted a survey surveying people who were using the psychedelics effectively as a treatment for their addiction. And the main barriers were access and stigma. So from there, it really became my mission to provide accessibility and education. And that's kind of how all of this came about, I suppose. I am also a massage therapist and yoga teacher and personal trainer, and using, the temple of our bodies as a sacred space to move through this human experience. It's really important to me, that connection to my body, being a gymnast for a long time, and after so much injury and pain, I was really disconnected to it. And psychedelics and mushrooms particularly were what brought me back to connection with my body. And so that's kind of how I feel. It just kind of all came together.
Yeah, that is incredible. I love how you said I accidentally started growing mushrooms in your weed plants. That is just so wild. And I know in doing my own research, as you said, there's all sorts of different kinds of mushrooms, right? And it's fascinating to me that I obviously follow you on Instagram and stuff, and you see your pictures are like, this is this mushroom, this is this mushroom. I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I just take what you give me and trust you. But in just the fact that you're just like this whole holistic approach to it, right? You mentioned the accessibility. I remember when I wanted to start microdosing, I was like, where do I even find these, right? Like how am I going to get these to the point where I can take them every day or at least most days of the week? And it took me a few microdosing experiences to really find something that worked well for me. But yeah, it's like, how do you find somebody that you trust? How do you know it's not going to be laced with something else? How do you know you're getting actually what you think you're getting, And then you're right, the stigma. I've been, I would say, doing my whole mushroom journey stuff now for, I want to say it'll be 2 years. No, it'll be 1 year. It'll be 1 year, not 2. 1 year in September. And it's just, it is crazy when I tell people, I take mushrooms every day now. I microdose every day. I've completely got off any meds that the doctor have prescribed me. I was prescribed Xanax for anxiety. I would take that as needed. I have another friend that has been on Lexapro that is now weaning off of Lexapro because she has replaced with microdosing with your supplements that you create. And it's just, it's the looks that we get. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you take mushrooms every day? And like, why exactly? So can you share with us, the ones that come up for me is like lion's mane and reishi, and those are the two that I'm thinking, turkey tail, those sorts of mushrooms that you can essentially find in like a Whole Foods, right? I can order them off Amazon if I wanted to. Why would somebody want to take those things on a daily basis?
So that's a great question, and it's really important to kind of recognize that there are different types of mushrooms, and that they have been used for millennia in Chinese medicine and indigenous cultures that have this deep relationship with the earth and all of her medicine. And there are so many different mushrooms that have an abundance of medicinal properties that Western medicine is only just now kind of starting to turn its gaze to. And so a lot of mushrooms actually have adaptogenic properties, meaning more that you use them, the more they kind of regulate that system. So, like the ones that you mentioned, lion's mane, for example, is in clinical trial right now for Alzheimer's prevention and mitigation. It helps repair the myelin sheath neurons, so neurological diseases and nerve damage. That's one that has helped me, both the nerve damage in my body as well as cognitive function, brain function, memory. I was on a regimen of lion's mane in grad school. So there are so many health benefits from mushrooms. I would say the caveat is that psilocybin isn't something necessarily that we would take every day. Mm-hmm. It's important to give your brain integration time as well. Mm-hmm. So some people might microdose once every 3 days or every other day or a few days on and a few days off. Whatever your protocol is, whatever regimen that you're going to use for microdosing, it is important to make sure that you're getting some off days in there, some integration days.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you said that. And for people that are listening that aren't sure exactly what psilocybin is, can you tell us what that is, what that means?
Yeah, psilocybin is the compound in the mushrooms that make them magic. There are thousands of varieties so far, and it's naturally occurring. And essentially, psilocybin binds to the serotonin receptors in our brain, mostly located in the prefrontal cortex. And the mechanism of action is depressing activity in the default mode network, which is the filter through which we experience our everyday life, our belief systems, habits, perceptions, the ego that's here, our sense of identity itself. And through the suppression of the default mode network, it allows different parts of the brain that don't normally communicate to each other. So it's creating new neuronal connections and new neuronal pathways, helping with that neuroplasticity as well. So, in higher doses is where we get our psychedelic effect.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. The mostly fun stuff. I'm sure we can share a few stories about, mushroom trips and whatnot. But so just to clarify, so somebody that is wanting to microdose, they would not necessarily take psilocybin, aka magic mushroom, every single day. They would do the other ones, such as your Thrive blend that you sell in your store. We'll make sure to get the link to that because I have recommended several friends to it that are loving it. And I truly think everybody needs to try this, especially after listening to this episode. You're probably going to be a little more curious. But yeah, so the Thrive blend essentially, or the other one you have is Restore, correct? Is the two in your shop?
There's three. So I have Thrive, which is a combination of lion's mane, cordyceps, chaga, reishi, tremella, and turkey tail. And then I also have a blend called Focus that's going to be more mentally and physically stimulating. That's going to be a blend of lion's mane, chaga, and cordyceps. And then a blend called Restore, which is reishi, turkey tail, and tremella. And that's going to be a little more calming to the nervous system and just overall kind of rejuvenating.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I do the Thrive blend. I remember looking on the website and I'm like, well, this one has all of the mushrooms in it. So I'm going to go with this one. I want all of the benefits I can. So I think I'm on my third month now, taking that. And again, I'm obsessed. So those you would take every single day. And then if you're wanting to microdose with psilocybin, just a few days, when I was dabbling in the psilocybin microdosing, I was doing 4 days on, 3 days off. I believe it was a Stamets protocol. Again, couldn't really find something that worked well for me, but if somebody were to be microdosing, in a more like of a daily use, how many, I know it's less than a gram, so how much would you recommend somebody taking in that stance?
So microdose is anywhere from 0.05 to 0.25 grams. So this keeps it small and subperceptual, meaning it's below the threshold of our awareness. So it's not going to make you high, not going to make you trip at all. You can still work and parent and do your daily life activities, without any distortion to your sense perception. You might notice elevated mood, deepened presence, just kind of that space between stimulus and response, really. Just that opportunity to really be in your life and in your environment without that judgmental and analytical mind that often goes. And a good place to start with microdosing might be 1 day on and 2 days off. This is referred to as the Fadiman protocol, and I like to recommend it because it's a really beautiful place to start, and to build a relationship with the medicine. It really allows you to witness and observe what it does for you, how it works for you, in your life. And once you kind of pair that with your intention and observe how it makes you feel and what it does for you, then you can change your dose and your frequency based on that. So the 1 day on, 2 days off protocol really allows you to experience the full arc of the medicine of its lifetime within your body. Your dose day, the second day where the psilocybin is still active on the brain chemistry, and then your third day, which is kind of a return to homeostasis. And again, it's very subtle, so it's not like a come up or a come down, but it just gives you enough time to kind of observe in the space to see what that difference might be for you, so then you can bring your intentionality into it and build that relationship with the medicine in a way that is beneficial for you.
Yes. Well, good. So I'm glad we covered microdosing stuff. And if someone is wanting to do like a mushroom trip, how much would you recommend, and what other important things would you recommend for them to incorporate if they were wanting to do a mushroom trip?
Well, so it depends, I would say, a lot on your experience and your comfortability with the expanded state of consciousness and awareness. You can definitely work your way up from microdosing, but I would say one of the most important things for those high dose experience where, you're in your stereotypical psychedelic experience, is that you have someone trusted and safe with you, just to kind of be a tether for you, and to hold that space for you. There's a few other things that can help make the experience. I would say intention is also one of the most important things. Getting some clarity on your why, what you're looking for, that can help manage and navigate your experience and whatever might come up for you. Also, the set and setting are really important. Your mindset, meaning, what you're carrying with you going in, and your ability to kind of, your willingness to ready to do whatever comes up for you. And the setting that you're in. I hear all the time that people have had bad trips. They did 10 grams at a concert and it was horrible. And I'm like, yes, I bet it was.
No wonder.
Yes, yeah. So the people that you're with, the environment that you're in is really important to your experience. So choose that very intentionally, and I think the main shift of mindset from this is for fun to this is medicine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think all use can be medicinal. We just have to be ready.
Yeah, I think that's a really important distinction to make. And again, like the people that I've shared with that I've had mushrooms are like, oh, you're a druggie now, or, you know, all these things. And I was like, no, not at all. Like I do it, as I was saying before we started recording, when my husband and I do trips at home together, it's very intentional. You know, we unplug for the day. We fast for some time before. We're setting intentions. We're saging. We're journaling. You know, we're just really having that space to connect and allow what's going to happen, you know, whatever needs to come through. And, you know, when I talk with friends, they're like, yeah, I've done mushrooms before. I'm like, oh, how much? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I just like ate a handful at a concert. I'm like, what? Like, you don't even, I don't like that just stresses my like anal brain out, like to not measure. I have my little scale and now I get the capsules from you. So I know exactly like how much is in each thing. But my God, to just take that would scare the shit out of me. And then, yeah, to be at I've been outside. It sounds so crazy. My very first mushroom trip, it was at a retreat. So it was like a guided thing. And we did go outside for a walk. We were, you know, on this property, no other people or anything around. It was just the three of us. And it was good. But for me to really feel into the psychedelics, it is in that space where I am still. So most of my mushroom trip looks like me curled up on a couch, like in the fuzziest, warmest, coziest blankets you could ever imagine. And I'm just there, like in my little cocoon, just on my little mushroom journey for hours and hours and hours. So yeah, but yeah, they say
making that net is really important, you know, and then you have the freedom to move and express, you know, move if you need to. But you know, this is really a journey inward, and anything, like you said, the soft blanket, the gentle music, you know, just being able to turn inward and, you know, stay on that inward journey is really important. And how you said about, you know, creating the space, all of that goes into the preparation of it. And getting your mind, body, and soul all in aligned for this practice. And then on the other side of your experience is integration. You know, it's great that, you know, psilocybin or psychedelics have changed your life, that they show you new perspectives, that they open you up. So tell me how are you bringing that into your everyday life? How are you changing? How are you evolving because of that? And that's part of the work of integration is making meaning of your experience, processing it, and bringing it into tangibility into your life.
Yeah, I think that's I'm so glad that you mentioned that. That's something that I think that I personally lack a bit. We usually talk about our trip afterwards, like what came up, but I think taking it that step further of, again, when you're on the other side, like you said, when you're out of the trip and really talking through how you're going to implement that into your life, because just thinking back to the things that have came up for me during trips, yeah, you're right. It's great. I'm so happy that I've had those realizations and whatnot, but yeah, what am I doing to integrate? That's, now I'm over here. You can tell my brain is like spinning as we're planning to do a trip.
No, this is really the work of the medicine, right? It's great when we get to have these experiences, and I believe that they can change the world, and that this is what we need right now to open our hearts and our minds and connect back to nature and connect to each other and get new perspective on where we are, but what happens when we have, you know, an amazing psychedelic experience over the weekend and then we go back to our job on Monday. How are we shifting our own behavior in our daily life to come back into alignment with what we've learned and what we will experience?
Yeah. And this is something that you actually offer to people. I know that you are in Ferndale, Michigan, so somebody listening might not be local to you, but you offer assisted psychedelic experiences for people. And so as you were mentioning, you recommend them having that guide there throughout. You are that person for many people.
Yes, it is truly a great privilege and an honor to be able to hold space and to help people navigate and manage their experience and to be that safe place for them, to remind them that they're not alone, to encourage them to surrender, whatever it may be, just to make sure all of their needs are met and to hold them and make sure that they know that their physical container is safe. They maybe leave it, they enter this expanded state of awareness, and that's really profound for a lot of people, and the trust that is given is just remarkable, and it's such a beautiful example of reciprocity. I gained so much from being in this position and holding space, and I give a lot too, and it's just a beautiful connection, and I love to again just make it available for people and to make it for them and accessible. If their path leads this way, I want to make sure that they have access to it and that it can be what they do. I also really think that really powerful and profound shifts happen in small ways. So I love microdosing at the media. I offer a lot of different microdosing events as well, or community-based, like microdosing sound bowl meditation and women's events and integration time, and just really building this community around it. This is how it's been done for thousands of years. Our ancestors from all over come together in community to heal and to imbibe with these sacred plants. And it's just such an honor to be able to allow that to take place in today's world.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, again, for people that were not local to you, your website, you offer tons of resources on there, information and articles and blogs about plant medicine, which I definitely appreciate being able to read through those. Even when you go to purchase your supplements and things, you have the breakdown of what each of the mushrooms in that supplement is going to do and help for somebody. So I love that you break it down in such a simple way for people to read. I remember very early on in my journey before my mushroom trip, I watched, the Netflix documentary. Oh my gosh, now I'm not going to be able to think of the name. What? Oh my.
Fantastic Fungi.
Yes, Fantastic Fungi. I'm like, how can I not remember this? So that's what I watched. That's what my coach had me watch before I was coming to do this trip. And then recently Netflix put out that docu-series on how to change your mind, and they cover psilocybin, MDMA, and a few other psychedelics on there. So I believe the world is catching on slowly but surely about all the amazingness that this has to offer to people. And do you feel that in our lifetime we will see a day where psychedelics are legal here?
Absolutely. And it's been really interesting to watch it shift happen, being in this space of cannabis and watching that go through its legalization here in Michigan. And on that, and I would like to offer Decriminalized Nature as another resource for people, because it's not what's important isn't legalization. Mm-hmm. What's important is decriminalization. Legalization means there's allowed to be a profit model. It means corporations can get involved. It means big money, and it further limits the people who, the minorities, the poor, the indigenous communities, through a legalization process. All of those models that we built around cannabis are going to end up limiting this space as well. So it's important that we decriminalize this to allow equitable access for everybody. These are entheogenic plants. These are Mother Nature's gifts, and they should not get them. Mm-hmm. So starting decriminalization, and not allowing this to turn into cannabis. Point two.
Yeah, that is a great, great point. I wouldn't even have thought of that. So thank you for bringing that. So yeah, as we're nearing the end here, how can people find you? How do you prefer for people to contact you, get to your website, order your things, attend your events? What's the best way?
Sure. I've got a lot of different things going on. Wellness Health is my personal Instagram, and Awaken Body, Mind, Soul is where I offer my massage and coaching, and psychedelic support, and then all of my medicinal mushroom supplements and stores can be found at Magic Moon Mushrooms.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we'll make sure to link all of those things into the show notes for people, because again, this is something that I think people need to experience, at least give it a try just to see how it does affect you and changes your life, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And it may not be for everybody, but for the people who are interested and who can benefit from, which we're learning that can be a lot of us. Again, it should be safe and available, and it should be resources. Mm-hmm. So, if there's any way that I can support your relationship to this medicine, just with education on my website, I saw the research articles that I come across, anything I can to help bridge that gap. That's my mission.
Yeah. Well, thank you again so much for coming on, for sharing information with everybody that's listening to this. Again, thank you for everything that you do. I appreciate your time, and I cannot wait to attend another event of yours coming up sometime soon.
Likewise, Rachel, thank you for being a part of this community and bringing your intentionality and your respect to this space. I witnessed that and honor it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a thing. And if you loved it so fucking much, be sure to leave a 5-star review. I'll see you next week, and until then, keep owning your sexual self.